what absolutely sucks? If it wasn't for this damn global situation, AEW was going to come to the UK for their pay-per-view known as Fyter Fest, and there I could have finally hunted down Sean Spears and said, tag me, my friend, I will be your new best friend. Although saying that, there's another challenge that All Elite Wrestling put out there recently, and we are gonna talk about it. But my name is Sam Miller, you are watching WhatCulture Wrestling, and you're also watching Ups and Downs for AEW Dynamite, but you have no idea whether it was a good show or whether it was a bad show, even if you watch the damn thing. But I will make it up to you right now by giving the good bits an up and by giving the bad bits a down. Let's up those downs. I tell you why I enjoy the Inner Circle. They do not give two hoots about making fools of themselves. They started off this week's episode of Dynamite and they were devastated because not only had they lost the Stadium Stampede match, but like the idiots they are, they'd gone out there and got hundreds of t-shirts designed that said on the front, Stampede Champions, and now how the hell are they gonna sell those? It's the simple stuff I tell you. They look like fools because they are foolish. And it doesn't matter when you're a bad guy if you look like a moron, that's the whole point. You're not meant to be badasses. The problem is they are so entertaining, nobody hates them deep down. You smile on the inside. Which was the same for the Young Bucks and Matt Hardy. They were doing a promo as well from the locker room, and Hangman Page and Kenny Omega were there, but they just left at one point to go get wasted, whereas Kenny said he would drink some milk. And then Matt Jackson was like, look, broken Matt, you crazy tamale, we love you, but we'd rather one of your other personas. So we came back in as like the Hardy Boys, and they went, no, we want someone else. So he became whatever he was before he got to the World Wrestling Federation. So Matt Hardy's new gimmick is that he's an absolute psychopath. I love it. All of this was leading to the Bucks and Matt Hardy teaming to take on Private Party and Joey Janela, which doesn't carry this run on Dynamite where you just get random tag matches all the time. Problem is, it was fun, getting up. How Matt Jackson is able to do anything right now, I do not know, because he's meant to have a broken rib, but he was flipping around the place, and Nick was flipping around the place, and even Matt Hardy was flipping around the place. He did a moonsault and landed onto all three of his opponents. 1, 2, 3. The Bucks and Hardy won after they had hit more bang for your buck, and the reason I'm just zooming through this match is because I know what you want. I'm not an idiot, I'm not a dum-dum. You want to talk about everything that happened in the fallout and the aftermatch. So now we're gonna do just that. So look, halfway through the match, Matt and Nick had accidentally careered into the Butcher and the Blade, who were at ringside. So after they were like, you know what, that pissed us off, let's go beat up the Young Bucks, and that's exactly what they did. Now I do have one question, and we'll talk about this later. Why are the Butcher and the Blade now two dudes from Miami Vice? Like, honestly, they were dressed all in white, and I thought they were about to get on a boat and go and solve some crimes. Anyway, after our good guys had won, Matt Hardy, being the nice man that he is, he must have been in his happy persona, helped Mark Quinn get to the back because he had been injured during the contest. This was nonsense, but it had to happen because we needed to get everybody out of the ring. Why? Because, like I say, Sonny and Rocco were back to finish the job, meaning Matt and Nick Jackson needed some help. They needed someone to come into the ring and save them, and the people that did that were the Revival, now known as FTR. They made their big debut by driving a truck up to the arena, and just between you and me, I think we've got to stop doing that, because I start laughing. It's like you're an employee of a company, like, oh no, we're late. So you just speed down the highway and then go, oh, it doesn't work. And you run in and you just start throwing fisticuffs. If we go by their latest merchandise as well, FTR apparently stands for Flub the Rest. Although obviously the word isn't flub. And although they teased that they were going to beat up the Young Bucks, they didn't. They turned around and they beat up the Butcher and the Blade instead. They even hit a spike pile driver, which I bet they've been desperate to do because there ain't no way they were ever going to do that in WWE. You're not allowed to do the pile driver. And fair play to the commentators for selling this like it was the best thing you'd ever seen when the Young Bucks and FTR started to stare each other down. They called it a dream match. Really, if you've been waiting for this ever since, well, they teased it on Being the Elite, it really is. You have wanted this since you were a fetus, and that is pretty damn cool. The only sad bit is they didn't get a massive reaction, because as we know, there's no fans. But naturally, it is getting it up. Jon Moxley was out next, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, he's just such a believable character. Like, he was joining the commentary team here, and every single word that comes out of his mouth sounds like a word that would come out of a normal human being's mouth. And the reason he was here is because he wanted to watch Brian Cage, because those two are going to fight for the championship at the next pay-per-view. Cage 2 was taking on Lee Johnson, and poor Lee Johnson. His whole role in All Elite Wrestling is to go to the ring, stare at some massive dude, and then have his ass absolutely handed to him. And that is what Brian Cage did here. However, Cage looked like a beast here, which means it's now 4 for 4 when it comes to AEW's recent experiments with the big guys. Because not only have they done it here, they did it with Lance Archer, they did it with Brody Lee, and they've done it with Wardlow. When all was said and done, Taz got on the microphone, and he was all like, "Jon Moxley, my man is gonna come and beat you. You better be scared." And yes, I've seen the comments, I've got all your tweets. It's a little bit like Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. I'm gonna let you in on a secret. Don't tell anyone. I'll hunt you down and slap you in the face. There were people doing it before Brock and Paul. There's nothing wrong with doing it again. Taz's basic point was that Brian will murder Jon at Fyter Fest, and that's the last time we're ever gonna call them Brian and Jon, because it sounds like two dudes who do data analysis are just gonna have a fight in the parking lot. It's like, oh, Brian and Jon are gonna go at it at lunch. Maybe we should go and see it. It's Cage versus Mox. I do like this a lot though. I'm really appreciating these mini feuds Jon Moxley is doing because it keeps the title fresh and it keeps me invested. And also, it's really easy to buy that Brian Cage may win this. Look at him, it looks like he ate 7 people. So it's nothing too unexpected, but it ticked my boxes. And as you know, if you've watched before, if you tick my boxes, I feel all nice in my special places. Nope. Up. Then Brit Baker, man. Brit Baker. I don't want to be this guy, because I hate this guy, meaning I'm about to hate myself more than I do usually. But if we zoom back to the boat, when she started teasing this character, I said there was something in this, and I got inundated by comments going, "Miller, you don't know what you're talking about. It was the crappiest thing I've ever seen." Well, you were wrong, my friends, because Brit Baker is the best damn thing about 2020. She got it up. For one, she was out here in a wheelchair that said role model on the backwards, but roll was spelled R-O-L-L, and I'm sure you can figure out the joke. But she was also walking us through more rules about how you're meant to be a role model, and number 3 is, you don't injure a role model. So this meant there was a lot of people that had to answer some questions, and she was of course talking about Nyla Rose, Chris Statlander, and Shida, the people that had come together to ruin her leg. And when she was talking about Chris Statlander, she also said she thinks she's an alien. What a crock of shit. That's the funniest line in ages. And who is at the center of this too? Well, it's that damn referee, Aubrey Edwards, because every time the dentist has been injured, who has been around? Aubrey Edwards, apart from the time that Brit Baker broke her nose. But even then, Aubrey Edwards had to have been somewhere, so I back her up. I blame her. It is horrendous, and AEW better do something about it, otherwise there is going to be hell to pay. I mean, this is a little bit like Chris Jericho from the late 90s when he was in WCW, but reimagined for a modern day, and it is one of the best decisions that All Elite Wrestling has ever made. And I mean that, she is just so darn entertaining. And also, there was a little bit of the "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" about this. There is nothing wrong with that. Talking of Jericho, he was in the back with his posse talking to Alex Mares, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Shut your ass, fathead." Somebody please give Le Champion a medal as soon as you can. Point is, their pep rally later is going to make everything great again, and then Orange Cassidy just walked through the background of their shot, and it pissed everybody off. What could this mean? We're going to find out. The new AEW champion Shida was out next, and she was taking on Christy James. And no, this wasn't a squash match, even though you probably don't know who Christy James is. But here is the thing. For starters, random wrestlers just turning up on Dynamite happens. It's a thing. I can give you multiple examples of this if you so wish. I won't, because that would be really boring. I'd be stand here reading out words. But by that very nature, it's not random, because we now expect it. Secondly, I do not care that this was a back and forth contest, of course, going back to that whole Kenny Omega thing that the internet just melted down about. I've said it before, like if you watch any kind of sport, even the dominant team sometimes will struggle against a team that's not as good. That's why we enjoy sport so much. So if you can do that in wrestling, you probably should. Point is, it's boy who cried wolf, but the other way around. I now understand what AEW is doing with this stuff. I like it, I bought in, no problem whatsoever. Shida also won after she hit the Falcon Arrow, and she looked pretty good the whole time, and that belt just looked really good around her waist. Don't know why, I was like, man, what a nice looking championship. It's getting up. And it was just one of those nights too, because following this was Cody, the brand new TNT champion, in the ring, cutting a promo. Nobody does it better. Compared himself to Tom Brady in the sense that he didn't just walk into success, he he had to work for it. He was called up too soon, he struggled, he didn't get the genes in his family because they went to dusting. I don't mean like denim pants that you pull up, I mean like DNA. Move on. The reason he made it though is because he outworked everybody else, and that's why he's going to continue this on by going John Cena on our ass and making the TNT title up for the Open Challenge. He said that anybody could apply, so if that's the case, Cody, I would like to challenge for the TNT Championship. This bald asshole will rock up to wherever you may be, even though I may have to swim across the ocean, and I will lay it all on the line, I will lay it all down, and I will try and beat you. I probably won't, but that's not the point. Sorry, but damn right, Cody sold the belt like it was worth $1 million, and when you remember what WWE did do with the United States belt, that made it feel more important than it had done in years, and this is how we're kicking things off with AEW's new second title. I think it's going to work wonders. I do need to point out here too that during all of this, we did cut to the crowd and we saw Ali, but she is no longer the bunny. Now, fair play to AEW, they are telling somewhat of this story on Dark. I suppose she just woke up one day and went, why the hell am I pretending to be a rabbit? That's not really normal. But it's just so odd, especially with Philip Michael Thomas and Don Johnson from earlier. I think, you have to expect that not everybody is watching AEW Dark, and some people are solely going to focus on Dynamite, so you need to tell me some reason why they've all changed and they're no longer together. I thought it was really confusing, and I worried maybe I'd missed something. You never want to make your audience feel like that, so I'm sorry, it's a down. There's also been some low-key great things happening in AEW, although we haven't been focusing on them, and one of them is the team of Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian. From not giving a flub at Double or Nothing, where they just threw everything into the ladder match, to this, I'm really enjoying them, and they are getting it up. They were taking on SCU here to see who was going to take on the tag team champions next week, and they also have an ace in the hole in Penelope Ford, who is also probably going to go on to great things, and she timed it so well here. SCU, we're going to go for the SCU later, but instead Penelope just grabbed Canarian Foot. That allowed Havoc and Sabian to hit their Drop King Michinoku Driver finisher. They pinned Scorpio Sky, and yeah, in 7 days, they've got a damn title shot. I tell you, it's just nice to watch a promotion that does spotlight the tag team division like AEW does. And, it's quite a big win. If you think about it, they just scalped two people that have been mad successful in the company. It's getting the thumbs. We then teased that MJF and Wardlow may break up. Like Russ and Rachel over again. Maxwell was cutting a promo and he was livid here because despite his great record, he has never received a title shot. So instead, he has entered him and Wardlow into the Battle Royal that's about to happen, and when it comes down to just those two, Wardlow knows what to do. But does he? Wardlow didn't see it the same way and he seemed very annoyed, and even though Friedman tried to laugh this off, you could just see it on Wardlow's eyes. He is not playing around here, and maybe he wants his own success. Is this going somewhere? You bet your ass. And it did! Seconds later, we did indeed have the Battle Royal to see who was going to take on Cody Rhodes next week for the TNT Championship, and it was just a barrel of laughs. It's getting it up. Firstly, Santana and Ortiz attacked Orange Cassidy as he was making his entrance, which now goes to show, if you are on the roster in AEW, you've got to be careful, even when you're walking around. And in terms of eliminations, Luther was out first, then Sonny Kiss and Colt Cabana. And with Colt Cabana, something quite intriguing happened as he was leaving. Someone from the Dark Order handed him a flyer, and I think he may have considered it. I also love the idea of a minion going to some kind of shop and getting flyers printed. Somebody's got to do the admin. Cutler and Avalon took each other out the game, and kind of amazingly, Marco Stunt was responsible for getting rid of Christopher Daniels. I did not see it coming, and without doubt, Marco didn't see Wardlow coming from him, because the big man picked up Marco Stunt and just chucked him out the ring. He's probably dead. He then teamed up with MJF to get rid of Luchasaurus and Billy Gunn, but that's when it all went bad, because MJF put the diamond ring on his finger, probably not that one, who knows, and he went to punch Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy moved. MJF hit Wardlow, and that was responsible for Wardlow getting chucked out. Jungle Boy and Orange also got rid of MJF, so he did just leave those two. They had this really cool sequence until it was, of all people, Jungle Jack that was able to hurl out Orange. He is going on to next week to face Cody Rhodes. And that's really interesting because of course it ties into the fact that not only did Jungle Boy knock out MJF here, but he lost to MJF on the pay-per-view. So do you really think in a match between Cody and Jungle Boy for that championship, Maxwell is just going to watch from the back? No, he's not. He's going to get involved. And there's even more layers here, like a delicious cake, because Cody and MJF, they hate each other too. Plant those seeds, baby. Plant them on my face. No. Also, when MJF did throw out Billy Gunn, he did the whole crotch chop and told him to suck it, of course, because he used to be in DX. And this transported me back to my past when I was a kid and DX were at the height of their powers, and I would walk around my house crotching away until my mother told me, Simon, you do not gesture towards your groin in this house. They should have called it that, the groin gesture. I think it would have had far more longevity. I love you, Mum. It was then time for the pep rally with the Inner Circle, and given their track record, you knew at the very least it was going to be ridiculous, and when they are ridiculous, they're really entertaining. And it was too. Jericho even started this by saying, hey guys, we're out here for all of you, and we brought you a bunch of merchandise just to try and flog all of those t-shirts they overbought earlier up. But there was a twist coming. Now, it started off with all the Inner Circle giving gifts to one another, including Sammy Guevara getting a scooter so that he didn't have to walk around on crutches, but also probably because the next time a golf cart comes at him, he can get away faster. And Jake Hager even recited a lovely poem. Now, I can't remember all of it, but it was like, the Inner Circle is the faction of my dreams, the best parts of sex and violence. So clearly Jake Hager gets really excited about this, but it was really good, because he rhymed it for a little bit and then just went crazy in his head, stared down the camera like, I will murder you, everybody else. How dare you attack my team? And they had to calm him down. That's the best Jake Hagar's ever been. The line pumpkin-headed bitches was also in there, so it gets a 10 out of 10 from me. And then Sammy Guevara looked at Chris Jericho and he was like, there's something wrong here, man. What did you really want? And because the former Y2J is crazy, he said he wanted Mike Tyson's head on a platter. Chris hasn't forgotten what Iron Mike did to him on a Monday night 10 or so years ago. Of course, he's talking about Raw. And on that show, Mike Tyson once again betrayed him and punched him right in the face. Unfortunately, Sammy couldn't sort that, but he could sort something else. A bottle of the bubbly and a cheese platter, but when the Inner Circle went to eat it, none of it was there. And you want to know why? Because Mike Tyson and his cronies had eaten it earlier, or I guess they stole it. That caused Tyson to come out along with Henry Cejudo and Victor Belfort, so that team is already going to just march to AEW and kick the crap out of everyone. But then we truly ended the show with a confrontation and a shoving match between Chris Jericho and Mike Tyson. It was like 1998 all over again. Thankfully, finally, Tony Schiavone did go crazy when Mike Tyson turned up, because once again, JR was just like, hey, there's Mike Tyson. You need to have a little bit of excitement about this. He is one, no matter what you think of him, he is one of the most famous people on the planet. Even my nan used to know who he was. I mean, she called him that boxing guy, but still. So yeah, after Jericho demanded an apology and didn't get one, these two did go at it, but not before Tyson had tried to tear his shirt, and he learned a valuable lesson from Hulk Hogan, which is you always pre-rip it, because I think he had a bigger fight with his clothing than he actually did with the former AEW champ. Dynamite did go off air, however, with these two just shouting each other's name. Chris Jericho especially was like, Tyson, Tyson. Absolutely, well, it's just crazy. And if you don't know why they've done this, go to the ESPN homepage right now. I mean, it may have moved, but this morning, what was one of the top stories? Mike Tyson on AEW. That's just good publicity, especially because Mike Tyson has been in the press constantly recently. Where it goes, I do not know, but look, Jericho's got this in the bag, one way or the other, because every time Mike Tyson has been involved in professional wrestling, he has always screwed the person he comes in with. Screwed Shawn Michaels, he screwed Chris Jericho, which this is all about, so I'm just going to assume it ends with Mike Tyson joining that group. Stands to reason. And look, if it does end with some kind of faction versus faction cinematic match thing, I'll be alright for that, if nothing else, because it will be so damn surreal. But I thought it was quite a frantic and quite a precarious, not a word, just made it up, ending to Dynamite, and I do want to see where it goes. And overall, I thought the show was Fabu. That's right, hashtag Fabu, give it an up. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Dynamite. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, then head over to WhatCulture.com, read yourself some articles, follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here on About Culture Wrestling. My name is Simon from WhatCulture, and yeah, like I just said, if you just want to go through every single episode of Ups and Downs ever, you can, and I promise to watch wrestling so you don't have to.